Moorhead is a highly respected figure in the Australian mining sector. As Executive Chairman and Managing Director of Xanadu Mines, Mr. Moorhead has been instrumental in building a strategic partnership with China's Zijin Mining and advancing the Kharmagtai Copper-Gold Project in Mongolia. The recent takeover offer for Xanadu by a Singapore-based investor group marks an important moment in the company's journey and underscores the value created under his leadership. In today's interview, we invite Colin to reflect on the strategic evolution of Xanadu, share his insights on the global copper and gold market, and discuss the challenges and opportunities faced by junior exploration companies on the ASX. Good morning, Colin. Welcome back to our interview.
Hi, Hannah. Thanks for having me again.
How are data center growth, decarbonization, and the energy transition reshaping the strategic value of copper and gold, and what's your supply and demand outlook for the next decade?
Well, I think clearly that there's a supply issue in the copper world, and we're simply not discovering and developing copper mines quickly enough to meet the future demands. So I see a structural deficit in supply for copper, even without decarbonisation and data centres and those intense copper usage areas. Just normal economic growth will be strong enough to sustain a strong copper price. If you put decarbonisation trends on top of that, there simply isn't enough copper to deliver all the things that governments are promising to do. I think you've seen Trump talking about 50% tariffs on copper, which is already having a short-term impact on the copper price. And if those tariffs persist, it's going to distort the copper world even more. So I think that there are good indications that the copper price it may be volatile, but it'll be stronger in over the decade. In terms of gold, gold's a different thing. It's in a way a natural hedge for copper. In normal situations, a lot of the time you've got a strong copper price and a relatively weak gold price, or the opposite. It's not often you get both of them being strong as they are now, and both of them being weak. But I think gold is a financial instrument, and it's a hedge against inflation and uncertainty, and there's enough of that going around in the world at the moment to keep the gold price strong.
Gold is hitting record highs while copper remains volatile. What's driving this gap, and how could it impact junior miners?
Oh, well, gold is very strong at the moment in Australian dollar terms. It's over $5,000 an ounce, which is something I thought I'd never see. And accordingly, the junior gold sector here in Australia is booming. It's probably one of the few areas where the equity capital markets are relatively strong at the moment for gold, sorry. And that's been driven by the global geopolitical situation as much as anything. With uncertainty, you've got Trump in the US, you've got areas of conflict in Ukraine and the Middle East. In times like that, traditionally gold is strong, and I can see it continuing to be. I do remember 2013 when the gold price crashed and corrected, and that's a possibility too. So in the gold world, we always seek to be in the lowest quartile of cost production, because that's your only real defence against a volatile gold price. But for juniors, it's a very good time to be a gold junior.
Having led projects in Indonesia, Mongolia, and Australia, how do these regions compare in policy, progress, and capital access?
I also did a fair bit of work in New Guinea, so it's interesting. I see Mongolia a bit like Indonesia was 20 odd years ago. And Indonesia, like Mongolia, has a very strong endowment and prospectivity for being on the rim of fire. It's very prospective for copper and gold and other strategic minerals. Their system during the period when all the big discoveries were made was a contracted work system. So to attract foreign direct investment, there was a contract of work. You could peg ground and negotiate the fiscal regime ahead of any major investment in the country. I think the key difference with Mongolia is that you make the discovery and you get to the point where Kharmagtai is, and then you negotiate the fiscal regime, which I don't think is helpful. New Guinea, a few decades ago, passed some laws that were seen as not positive for foreign direct investment, and it killed the junior sector in New Guinea for decades. And I think that's a risk. In Indonesia, all of the major discoveries were made in the 70s, 80s and early 90s, and then that investment dried up. So if you look at all the big projects that are being mined now, they were discovered back then. And I think what Mongolia needs to do is create the policy regime which attracts junior exploration, because in the long run, no juniors equals no majors. Right? Turquoise Hill, Ivanhoe came in early, made the Oyu Tolgoi discovery, and then Rio came in on the back of that. Kharmagtai, Xanadu, bought Zijin, and now Bastion. And I could go on and on. So you need to create the policy environment which attracts junior companies to your jurisdiction. And if you can't do that, you won't have it. It's as simple as that. As an explorer, we will go where we have not only the prospectivity, which all of those countries have, but also the certainty, the fiscal certainty. Very important.
Thank you. Let us talk about Xanadu. From your point of view, what were the key value-creating moments in advancing the Kharmagtai project?
Well, if I go back before my time, I've got to give credit to Andy Stewart and the team who secured the project, because tenure is very important, and being able to secure good projects is very important. And I would suggest one of the things Mongolia could do is make it easier to peg ground in the country without huge upfront payments, because I can't raise money to pay someone for a piece of ground. I can raise money to put drilling and geological effort into the ground, but it's very difficult to raise money in the capital markets to pay a foreign government. So Andy Stewart's original project generation work was hugely beneficial. When I came in, we'd been past the exploration phase, and the share price had crashed, and we're basically in the project development phase. And I think coming up with a very clear strategy and executing that strategy well is where the value was created. So we had to fix that. Estimate a really high quality mineral resource and use that estimate to drive a scoping study. So that scoping study defined what Kharmagtai could be. We use that to attract a funding partner, because it's very difficult for a little company with a low market cap to develop a big project. We were like having a tiger by the tail. It's a difficult situation. So we were able to attract Zijin as a funding partner, and Zijin came in onto our register as our largest shareholder, and also put $35 million US into the company to fund that pre-feasibility, which bought them 50% of our holding company. That was a major step forward, because it allowed us to progress the project where many projects around the world get stuck at that point. And of course, completed a very high quality pre-feasibility study, which defines what the project should be. And, that allows you to quote an ore reserve and put forward-looking statements out around physicals and financials. So it described a a 30-year open pit mine that produced a significant amount of copper and gold over a long period of time at a relative competitive cost. So the next valuation phase is, okay, we're an exploration and development company. We're not a mining company. We don't have the balance sheet and we don't have the internal capability. So how do you get the thing funded? And that could have gone two ways. Zijin could have gone on their own, done a deal with us. Or what's happened is effectively a Mongolian consortium in Bastion has come in to take the project forward, creating a liquidity event for our shareholders.
How has the Zijin partnership impacted Xanadu's growth and shareholder value?
Well, as I said, what Zijin did was allow the project to progress from scoping study to pre-feasibility study. And now, in partnership with Bastion, they'll be able to take that through feasibility and permitting and approvals to FID, which should see the project built. So I think Zijin have been fundamental to getting this project to the point where we can see it going into production in this decade. And when you look globally at the copper projects in the pipeline, there aren't many large-scale copper projects new projects that will come on stream this decade. So I think that sets Kharmagtai apart.
Xanadu has received a cash takeover offer that appears increasingly likely to successfully complete. As a decision maker, how do you see the takeover offer influencing competition and value for the project and the Xanadu shareholders?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, what the Bastion bid does is become unconditional now, so it creates certainty for our shareholders. They can accept the offer, which is at a significant premium to where we were trading at as a company, and reinvest that money in where they feel appropriate. There is a school of thought that the NPV of the project from the PFS is roughly $900 million US. And if you calculate Xanadu's percentage of that, 38.25%, the deal places it at about a half of NPV, which for this stage project, given the forward risks, is actually a reasonable valuation. We had an internal technical experts report that suggested that the deal was fair and reasonable, and was at the top end of that experts' valuation range. So that's the hard reality of it. The other piece of that was the 8-cent bid, which values Xanadu at about 180 million Australian dollars, was a public bid. So Zijin or third-party copper players had the opportunity to come over the top, and to this point haven't. So in a way, the market has spoken. I'm very sympathetic to the argument that this project, is worth, at least $1 billion if you're bullish on copper and you use today's spot metal prices. It's worth a lot more. It also has the option value of exploration upside and technology upside. So do I think ultimately this project will be an extremely valuable project? Yes, I do. The problem is for Xanadu shareholders, you have to spend a lot of money to get there, and that would have been highly dilutive. So it's ultimately a bird in the hand versus two in the bush type decision, and the board felt that it was appropriate to recommend this deal. As explorers, our job will be to go and find another project and generate more value. And I can say that from the moment I took over to where we are today, the market cap was less than $40 million, and we're selling this project 5 years later for 180. Could it have been more? Of course it could have. Could it have been less? Of course it could have. But, I think it's a good result.
Thank you.